Dzień dobry. My name is Cyrilla Moore, and even though I'm sitting here looking at you right now, I'm not really myself right now. Confusing? I mean more so I'm not doing business as myself. And in this video, I'm going to be introducing you to the benefit of running your life under a corporate structure and how this will benefit you in terms of lowering your tax legally, increasing income, and so much more. Let's get into it. Before we begin, if you find value from this video, please do not be shy and hit that like. It helps us immensely in getting the word out about finance and freedom, a human right that we believe. Also, more importantly, we have a newsletter that goes out probably twice a week, and it has extra lessons on finance, freedom, global structures, and so much more. And I really encourage you to jump on board of that. Leon writes them. They are actually sensational. I read them. I'm like, whoa, the way he structures it, it's just so beautiful, the stories he tells. So make sure that you subscribe for that. So this concept is going to have two parts. Next week on Tuesday, I'll be releasing the second part. I'll be introducing you in these videos to the concept of corporate structures and owning nothing and why rich people own nothing. The way that the structures are set up right now, it is so unfair for people that are employed. They are battling. If they want to think about being financially free under the current structures of just being employed, it's so hard. Now this video, it is more tailored towards people that are working for themselves, freelancers, contractors, employed people. Unfortunately, it's not the best, but still listen up, because in the future you might want to look at restructuring the way that you are working for someone else. You can still work for someone else, but just under a different umbrella, different label. For example, let's say that you're a software programmer right now working for somebody else. You can instead switch your label to be an independent contractor, and you get so many extra benefits of lowering your tax, increasing your income capabilities. As you may know, and I'm just going to point it out once again, I am not a financial advisor. I am purely educating you on the possibilities of what you can do with your financial structures. I am a disruptor of the system to make people squirm, to realize that once you give them education, they are empowered. So what you need to do now with this information is find out what is relevant for your own country. So seek legal advice in the country that you are in. The difference between you and an entity. The most common way that people start going into business, you go down the easiest path. You just become a sole trader, sole proprietor, individual entrepreneur. There are many different names that you can use to describe this kind of a structure. You send invoices out under your own name. You receive money into your own bank account underneath your own name. It doesn't require you to set up any extra structures. The way that you then progress is that you want to have a company, and then you get paid from your company. Now, let me explain that a little bit further. Say there's like Apple, Google, any big company that you can think of. These people have a ton of employees, but the employees are not the company. If the company loses money, buys stuff, goes into debt, someone tries to sue them, it is not the actual employees that are going to get affected by that. It is the company. Not even the company owners will get affected by any of the turbulence that happens within the company. There's a huge separation. So even if the company goes bankrupt, yes, the owners will lose an asset, but they themselves will not be going bankrupt. I will talk about this a little bit more in a second, but I just wanted to open up your understanding of what this means, and essentially to help you realize that companies are really, really important, and they are there to benefit you when it comes to tax time and also asset ownership. A lot of people might think that companies are a huge thing with hundreds of employees, but that is not the case. You can have a company with one owner and one employee, like me. Firstly, let's run through a few more examples, concrete examples of why it is a bad idea to do business as yourself and not as a company. Number one, liability. Let's just use myself, for example, Cyrilla Moore. Right? Let's say that I go into business with a company and they pay me a portion of the contract up front, everything's signed off, and then for some reason, let's say I get into a serious accident and I can no longer work, so I can't fulfill my part of the contract, which is to do the work. Or worse off, if I made a really bad decision and I took that money that was paid up front and then I spent that money, a part of that money, and something else happened and I can't repay that money back. I can't give that money back to the company. They are completely in a position to sue me. That is a breach of the contract. I'm not delivering. I'm not giving money back, or it might not even be the money. It might have been something super timely that I was meant to deliver, but I didn't deliver. They could be pissed. The company could be pissed, and then they would come after me and demand legal action, demand that I pay them back, maybe even demand that I pay them for damages done to their business because it was so timely it affected their business operations. They'll come after me and everything that I own. Say that my house is under my name, my car's under my name, my company's under my name, all my income is under my name, all the income that I have in my bank account, all my savings is under my name. The court could absolutely rule in that situation that I am the one to blame and I have to repay everything. If I don't have enough money in my bank accounts, I will then have to sell the assets that I own in order to repay the bank. And if I don't do that, the bank is going to take possession of the house and just voila, there you go. Everything that I've ever created for myself, worked so hard for, is destroyed. Second scenario, I decide I have this brilliant business idea. I'm going to take a loan out of the bank for $20,000 and make my business dreams come true. I know 1,000% that this is going to work. And I undertake business and it turns out that it didn't work. And I have this loan underneath my name saying, hey, Sorel owes $20,000 to the bank. I can't repay it. The bank is going to come after me and after all the assets that I own. And then I am left with nothing. In that case, legally, you are allowed to bankrupt yourself. Most places around the world, there is this possibility to do bankrupting, personal bankruptcy, which can mean that a lot of what you own is somewhat erased, except it goes onto your profile. And for about 5 to 7 years, you are affected by this. Your credit score rating, your ability to take loans out, banks will look at you so differently. Everything is placed on a red flag area and it's really, really hard to bounce back from that. So if you ever want to buy a house again, you'll have this stamp on your name. It's like, this person isn't the right person to deal with. So you're going to have a really, really difficult time if you bankrupt yourself. Even with the right intentions, things can go wrong. People make mistakes. We're human, and if you make a mistake with you being the person liable, a sole proprietor, a sole trader, that's not the best way to do it. Bad idea number 2, tax. A huge disadvantage of doing business as a sole trader is because of tax. And I'm going to say that this is, for me, one of the main reasons why you should set up corporate structures to legally minimize tax. Most countries around the world, especially Western countries, they by default have company structures that will pay less tax than individuals. I'm going to give you 2 examples from personal experience. Number 1 is Australia, the country of my birth, and the second one is Iceland, the country that I live in. Let's say that I make $100,000 profit per season in my business. Now I'm talking about profit because profit is usually where you get taxed on. In Australia, as a sole trader with this amount of income, I would be paying 32.5% tax on this amount of money. So $32,500 would be going straight to the government. Where I live in Iceland right now, that would put me into the bracket of 46.2% tax. $46,200 will be going straight to the government. Now let's say instead of trading as a sole trader, I decide to set up a company in Iceland or Australia. In Australia, it becomes a flat 30% tax that I would pay as a company, and in Iceland, it is a flat 20%. That is a huge difference. So in Australia, it's a 2.5% decrease on that amount of money, 100,000. Obviously, as you go up higher, you pay more and more tax. And in Iceland, I would be paying 26.5% less tax than if I was a sole trader. Now, obviously, this is a very simplified example because I'm also not including the different tax brackets that people can be put into, or also, I've spoken about this in other videos as well, the beautiful deductions that you can have as a company owner as well. Everything that you basically buy can be related to company expenses, almost everything. Check with your financial advisor about that. But that was just a simplified example to just help you wrap your mind around the concept. Furthermore, if you have assets that are in your name, for example, a house, these are taxed as well according to capital gains tax. Most countries around the world do have a capital gains tax, which is again higher for individuals than it is for company owners. So for example, if you want to sell your house after a while, whatever profit you've made on the sale as an individual or a company, you have to pay tax on that. They want their tax for absolutely everything. But as a company owner, that tax is significantly lower. In next Tuesday's video, I'm talking a lot more about assets and why the rich don't own anything. But essentially, wherever you are in the world, almost everywhere, as a sole trader, you're definitely going to be paying a lot more tax. Now, I would love to hear your thoughts on this tax discussion. I've mentioned this so many times in videos and I've received very varied responses. Some people being like, whoa, I never knew that you could legally reduce your tax. And some people are still very reserved and don't really like that idea. I've heard them just say like, just pay your tax. Just because billionaires don't pay tax doesn't mean that you shouldn't. I think the way that we help to balance things out in the world when it comes to taxes is by hitting them where it hurts. So essentially, if billionaires don't pay anything and more individuals figure out that this is legal and I can reduce my tax, there's going to be a significant imbalance and they'll be like, wait, where's the tax money going? We have to figure out these structures, and they'll have to make it more fair because again, education is empowerment. I would love to hear your thoughts on what you think about this tax discussion. How does it make you feel? Do you still have resistance to it? Please let me know below because I'd love to address some of these in future videos. Bad idea number 3, location limitations. I'm fabulous now. I know, it just got a little bit chilly. The The last reason why doing business as a sole trader is a disadvantage instead of running a company structure is because of the serious location limitations. The most amazing thing about the business landscape these days is that anyone can do business anywhere, all over the world. It is available to us, and the idea of making money while you sleep is so alive right now. You can have clients no matter where, no matter what your interests are. Maybe in the past it was really hard to trade with people around you because you couldn't find your niche of people surrounding you, but now you can reach anyone across the globe and make money from what you specialize in. Even as a sole trader, it is very easy. Within a matter of hours, you can set up PayPal or TransferWise and get paid from clients all over the world. So yes, it's available to sole traders, except there are definitely still some disadvantages. Of course, I've already mentioned about the tax, but this one is just going a little bit deeper as to why you definitely want to structure yourself as a company. First of all, let's talk about banks. My favorite topic. Banks, you might not like their service, you might not like their interest rate, you might not like the color of the bank, or you might not like the dealings that they have, because a lot of banks actually involved in really damaging environmental deals. So you might not like your bank for that. You need to research your banks. And maybe in your area, you don't have a better bank. So you are stuck as a sole trader dealing with that bank. You don't really have any possibility of going somewhere else and seeking a different bank, whatever is only available in your home country. But this is why companies are so beautiful and important for you to set up, because you are then able to access whatever bank in the world that you like. It could be better investment opportunities, it could be higher interest rates, it could be currency, access to currencies, and so much more. Yes, there are banks such as Revolut or TransferWise that you can set up. However, these are not physical banks, they are virtual banks, and I'll talk about these services a little bit in the future. We want to have choices. This is what freedom is. Freedom means choice, and that's why I'm introducing you to so many different ways of having as much freedom as possible, because you deserve to have the choice of the best of the best. And so let's talk about a couple of examples. Hong Kong and United Kingdom. Within a matter of days, a little bit of paperwork, a little bit of upfront costs, you can set up a company in these areas, and that means that you have the legal right to open up a bank in these countries as well. This is an aspect of creating businesses overseas called offshoring, and it is super beneficial and it is wonderful. Let me expand on Hong Kong, for example. You can set up a company for around $500 US. Pretty simple. And in Hong Kong, you only pay tax on any income that is made within Hong Kong. So if you have clients that buy from Hong Kong, that profit you're going to pay tax on, but any income that is made from abroad, from outside of Hong Kong, you actually pay 0% tax on that. There is a lot to think about when you're taking your company offshore. It is not just an automatic, oh, no tax, darling, we're done. But it gives you an idea why such huge corporations like IKEA have companies set up in Hong Kong. Of course, if you're a citizen of America, you know that your country wants you to pay tax on your worldwide earnings. And in Australia, for example, say you have a company in India and you are a citizen and resident of Australia, and there is no physical presence in India of your company, Australia very much might consider that that company should have the tax paid not in India, but actually in Australia, because you are just really outsourcing the services of India to create the products or whatnot. So this is where you really need to do your own research and figure out what it is that your country requires of you and how it works specifically in your own country. I'll be doing more videos in the future about offshoring, but this is just to give you a general idea of what you can look at. But again, you need to double check with a financial advisor, expert on offshoring companies, to ensure that you do the best structures and setup for your current situation. So what is the solution? Well, obviously it's just running your life as a sole trader, right? Just kidding. If you haven't gotten the importance of running your own structures under a company from this video, then I don't really know what to say anymore. But yes, setting up a company is so important for yourself. Of course, this isn't a cure-all and it doesn't apply to absolutely every country in the world. I do not know all of the countries' laws around the world. You have to do your own research. It is a little bit of extra, paperwork that you have to do, but it is worth it in the end if you want the true financial freedom, taking full responsibility for your life and for your finances. And also the upkeep of these companies does take a little bit more time. I will say that you have to keep on top of different tax structures around the world and ensure that you're providing the tax returns on time in all these countries. So there are rules you have to be aware of, and it can get a little bit complex for sure, but it is worth it in the end. As an FYI, it doesn't mean that you can't do business underneath your own name. I am still Cirilla Moore and my main channel is Cirilla Moore. I am the face of my business, except there is an entity that owns Cirilla Moore and everything that this structure that I've created has. So all my tax, all my assets, all the debts, everything is taken care of by that entity. And because I am the luckiest person in the entire world and nothing ever goes wrong for me, I do not have anything that goes wrong in business. However, if something did go wrong, I don't know, if someone wanted to sue me because they don't like my smile, my giant teeth, or if I somehow make really bad decisions in business, which of course can happen, it can happen to all of us. If I have to declare bankruptcy, I'm not going to be the one that is handing over any assets because I don't have anything in my own name. As I mentioned, this is not legal advice. This is just education because I love disrupting this system so much. So make sure you find a really good tax accountant and talk to them about this. Make sure that they are specialized in offshoring as well, because a lot of accountants, they are not very skilled in this area. Just because they have the title of accountant doesn't mean that they're great. You need to ask them very specific questions. Do you understand offshoring? Do you know how to legally decrease my taxes as well as possible for my current structure? What are the best type of structures? What countries do you recommend that I set up my structures in? You really want to test them, because you're relying on these tax accountants to ensure that you properly file your tax. For one, you definitely want to be doing that. You don't want to mess around with this system, because you are playing within the system that is created by these governments all around the world. So that's why you have to pay tax legally, and you have to ensure that you do everything properly. I wouldn't focus so much if you're brand new to business and you are just not even sure how you're going to make $100 or $200. As I said for myself, I started my own thing. I had a company early on. It was for an ego thing really, but I didn't understand how to make money yet or sell my services. And that is always a priority for sure, because you want to be bringing in a lot more money, because once you have extra money and resources, then you can start dedicating it to making sure that your structures are correct. But if at the beginning in your business days, you're making like $20,000 a year from business, this is around the time you can start looking at having different companies, because otherwise $20,000, say in Australia in tax, it means that you're basically paying no tax whatsoever because you're underneath the threshold. So it doesn't make sense for you to go out and explore how to build these structures when it comes to tax. It makes more sense for you to understand first and foremost how to increase your wealth whilst being aware that this is the road you have to go down in the future. So I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much for watching. I hope I opened your mind up to different possibilities that are available to you as an individual and a company owner. If you enjoy this video, please do make sure that you like and comment down below. It is so helpful once again for us to get the information out that should be readily available to absolutely everybody in the world on finance and freedom. This is a human right. We want to get this information out to as many people as possible and destabilize the people that think they have full control of everything, because they just keep us, ignorant. So comment, like, subscribe, ensure you check out the newsletter for extra gems in there. It is really special. The social media of Abundantia is all down below, as well as my social media. And that's it. I'll see you in the next one.